Nothing exudes class and elegance in the wine world like Margaux wines. If Lafite is the king of the first growth Bordeaux, then surely Chateau Margaux is the queen. In other episodes, we've compared first growth wines to each other, but what if we compared the $1,000 bottle of wines with the prestigious but less expensive wines from the Margaux appellation? Today, we'll try 3 wines. Chateau Margaux, which costs north of $1,000 per bottle, Chateau Palmer, which retails for about $400, and Chateau Brane-Cantenac, which sells for about $125. Find out what we learned when we put the 3 wines up against each other. So if Chateau Margaux is 8 times more expensive than Brane-Cantenac, does that mean that it's 8 times more delicious?
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, B. I mean, if we're gonna use that logic, then would a Birkin bag be 50 times better than the Coach bag?
Some people would say yes, but I love my Coach bag, so I'm gonna have to say no.
All right, but you bring up a good point, right? And the point is, how much better is a $1,000 bottle of wine than a $125 bottle of wine? And that's part of our experiment today. Today, we're comparing 3 outstanding wines, all from the Margaux appellation in Medoc, Bordeaux. And to keep it as fair as possible, all of the bottles are from the same 2005 vintage. The wines were purchased from Flickinger Wines in Chicago and spent a considerable time in the cellar. Robert Parker gave the Chateau Margaux 98+, the Palmer 97, and the Brane-Cantenac 95 points. The Wine Spectator gave Chateau Margaux 97, Palmer 94, and Brane-Cantenac 92, suggesting that there were significant quality differences among the wines.
So you had to break open the original wood case for the Margaux.
I did. I bought this case in 2021 on the re-release from the Chateau, and this is the first bottle, B.
So you've never had that bottle before?
I've never had it before.
Are you excited or nervous?
I'm both. Really hope it's not gonna be a letdown.
Me too, but you've had the other 2 bottles, right?
I have, and I think they're both outstanding wines. I think they're gonna be strong contenders today.
And as usual, you've done some background information on these wines, so let's watch that right now.
Margaux is an appellation in the Medoc region of the Bordeaux, just south of Pauillac and Saint-Julien and north of Grave. Today you'll find 21 chateaux from the 1855 classification located in Margaux, more than any other appellation. And the vast majority of those are located within the Margaux-Cantenac commune. The soil here has a higher gravel content and low level of nutrients, which is actually good when you're trying to make great wine. You'll sometimes hear that vines should struggle but not suffer. Go figure. Chateau Margaux and Palmer occupy the prime real estate here, with Brane-Cantenac located nearby. More than anything, Margaux wines are said to produce perfumed, elegant wines with great finesse. This is Cabernet country, with also a good bit Merlot. Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Carmenere, and Malbecs are also grown and used in blends depending on the chateau and the vintage.
So when wine experts refer to wine as elegant with finesse, is that some fancy term of just saying easy drinking?
Yeah, that's my take on it. Of course, goes down easy might not be the most effective tagline for a $1,000 bottle of wine.
There's a significant price difference between these 3 wines, but $125 for Brane-Cantenac, that's not necessarily a bargain either.
No, these are 3 serious bottles of wine, and they all received high scores from the critics when they were released.
And what do your fellow nerds at Cellar Tracker think?
We're gonna get back to that later in the episode. I wanna know what Stacy thinks, and I also wanna know how our impressions line up with everybody else.
Can we just get started already?
All right. Hey, Pete, did you know that Chateau Margaux was purchased in 1976 by a Greek shipping magnate, Andrei Mentolopoulos, for less than $15 million?
That's crazy. How in the world did that happen?
Well, the estate went into disrepair and suffered from a lack of investment, and the chateau more or less produced mediocre wines for decades before Mentolopoulos restored it to its glory.
So it took a Greek tycoon to fix Margaux?
Yes, and his daughter, Corinne, also gets a lot of the credit. She took over in 1980 when her father died and continued her transformation into what it's known for today.
Another successful father-daughter team. Palmer has one of the least French names we've come across, I think.
That's because it's named after Major General Palmer, who was British and bought the estate in 1814, presumably after the defeat of Napoleon. He later sold the estate in 1843, but the name stuck.
And who owns it today?
I believe it's multiple shareholders, 22 I've read somewhere, but majority is owned by 2 négociant families in Bordeaux.
I really love this label.
And I really like the content. I hope it stands up to the other 2 giants. I'll be really curious.
So what makes this estate special?
First of all, Brane-Cantenac was classified as second growth in 1855, ahead of Palmer. So we know they made great wines for a very, very long time. And secondly, they're owned and managed by the Lurton family, who bought the chateau in 1925. It's currently managed by Henri Lurton, who has modernized the chateau and is producing some great wines lately.
And how do you think it'll do?
We'll have to wait and see.
Welcome back, Stacy. Are you as excited as my dad is to try these 3 wines?
I might be a little more excited than your dad. Margaux is my favorite appellation from Bordeaux, so this is very exciting.
So out of all 3, which one do you want to start with first?
So I typically, when I'm tasting wines to like gauge quality, you start light before heavy, cheap before fine, whites before reds. So there's not a huge variation of, light before heavy or cheap before fine, but I would definitely do it in this order, from the Brane to the Palmer and then Margaux.
All right, well, let's get started with the Brane-Cantenac.
Oh, you do such a good job of pronouncing that, Bea.
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
Notice how I didn't even try.
That's almost as good as me.
I've been practicing.
This one's pretty aromatic right out of the gate. Like, I didn't even swirl mine, and there's just like all sorts of stuff happening.
Does it bring you back to the horse days, Bea?
It's not as strong barnyard as wines we've done in the past, so I'm okay with that.
Okay. There's definitely a presence of it, for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, maybe I'm just getting used to it.
That will happen.
Okay.
And this has a little bit of garnet to it, right? A little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you could tell that this is 19 years old.
All right, should we try it?
Cheers.
Cheers. That's good.
That is good. There's still some of that rusticy barnyard to it, Earthy tannins, earthy notes. Lots of structure. The fruit's not the first thing that I'm getting. It's a lot more of like the other flavors. How about you?
I love this one.
Yeah, it's
This is
really
what
great.
I love about Bordeaux. That transition from primary fruit to all these secondary flavors. And I think it's smooth as silk.
So what's interesting in Bordeaux is the land has been treated, for lack of a better term, multiple times. The English came, the Dutch came, it was a swamp. And they dredged the swamp and made these mounds of gravel. And in creating these mounds, there are basically 6 different classified types of gravel mounds there. And they are based on like the type of soil that you've got. Margaux is the only appellation in Bordeaux to have all 6 of them. The larger the gravel, to the smaller gravel, to clay and sand and silty, loamy kind of things. Having all 6, you definitely get a wider variety. Margaux is also the largest of like the top tier elevations in Bordeaux. So there's a lot more of a like kind of breadth of styles that come there. I think let's do Palmer next.
Okay.
For sure.
And I have another confession to make.
You tried it already?
I love this wine.
Oh gosh, so good.
I love Palmer.
I think this one has the biggest nose out of all 3. Like, I first stuck my nose in each of the 3 of them. This one just jumps out of the glass. It's so aromatic.
And of all the Palmers, I think the 05 is a really, really good vintage.
This is a great vintage for Margaux across the board. Almost perfect conditions, nice and hot, but they had plenty of kind of rain in the springtime to kind of carry them through that really hot summer. It's a great vintage in Margaux.
And this is darker.
It is a little bit darker. Yeah. It's
darker.
maybe aging a little bit more slowly. The fruit is really singing on this one for me too. Like the aromatics for this one, for the Brane, was much more kind of that earthy, rustic character.
Yep.
This is a lot more like velvety fruit, darker fruits. There's even something kind of like violety and floral that comes out of the glass. I love it. The nose is great.
What do you think, Bea?
I think it smells really strong, and I want to try it.
All right, cheers.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. So I actually think that I like this one better than this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Well, I don't want to say it goes down easy, but it does go down easier. It's not really as bitter at the end than this one.
I think I agree with that.
Okay.
And I think that is a little bit of tannins. I think there's just a hint of bitterness. Still, I think I like that. We're keeping it real. All right, there's one to go.
There is one to go. The
This is
namesake
the-
for the whole appellation. Chateau Margaux.
The queen of the first growth, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
This is supposed to be one of the best Chateau Margaux. And there's a lot of hype here.
Well, let's try it. Let's
Never
get it
had
out the way.
Let's get it out the way, she says. It's even darker.
It is darker. Now, this is quite different in composition, right?
Yeah, these two are almost 50-50, Cabernet and Merlot. Margaux has like 85% Cab. It is on larger gravel, which is why more Cabernet. Cabernet loves gravel and needs gravel to ripen. It's also way closer to the river.
You ready?
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
That's good too.
That's tannins.
Yeah.
Again, 85% Cab. That definitely still has more tannins. That one's grabbing my tongue and pulling it out.
But it doesn't taste as bitter as the Palmer,
Right.
in my opinion.
So I think that's silky smooth.
Oh, it's delightful, but I still think there are more tannins here. The texture of them, silky smooth, delightful, but there are more of them in this glass than the other two.
Do you think this is just built more for age?
Cabernet ages better. We can argue about that. People who buy Petrus and stock that in their cellar are going to argue with me about that for sure. But more tannins, and you've also got that great acidity that comes from a good quality Bordeaux vintage. Both of those things are going to help preserve this wine and let it age forever. These are coming into their own and a great place to drink now, drink soon, drink later. You know, I think you've got plenty of time on all three of these wines, even though they're all drinking really delightfully now.
All right, so B, we started the show with saying we want to look at what a $125 bottle of wine, $400 bottle of wine, and a $1,000 bottle of wine. Same vintage, same appellation. I want to know what you think. You love Brane-Cantenac?
Yeah, I mean, I like all of them, but I think I keep going back to this one. So maybe I just have a cheaper palate, but I'm not gonna lie, I like this one the best.
That's great. I love that. I really expected to like the Margaux best. I've had Margaux before, and it is my favorite estate from Bordeaux. I like the amount of Merlot that comes in it. I like the structure of it. I like the feminine florality and all of those aromatics. The Palmer's kind of singing right now. I really want to keep drinking that, and not just because I know that's your favorite, but I'm impressed with the fact that the middle of the road, price point wise, is sort of winning for me right now.
And the Brane?
Delicious. I would, yeah, beyond special occasion, you know, not every day, but I would definitely be happy to drink this wine at the dinner table for sure. I think that it's going to show even better if there was a steak nearby or even some aged cheese.
And B, you know, when we taste red wine here, there is a steak nearby.
Yeah.
It's in the fridge.
I had a feeling.
Good. All right. Do we want to do a cheers?
I think so. Pick your favorite.
And for the cheers, we got to bring Jeff in, right? All right.
I am not sitting next to you. You mean
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
So everyone's picking their favorite one, and we're gonna cheers.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Until
Chef.
next time. Thanks for watching.